Mark, our roads are getting more crowded, and that is causing problems. The Transportation Research Group says New Mexico has seen the biggest increase in the number of cars and trucks on the road of any state in the past 5 years, causing a lot of wear and tear and costing you.
Here in Albuquerque, more than half of major roads have pavements in poor or mediocre condition.
Bad roads are a problem that TRIP, a National Transportation Research Group, says is costing New Mexico drivers $2.7 billion a year.
It seems like every year it just gets worse and worse.
In the cost of repairing vehicles that are driving on rough roads, the value of lost time, and the economic consequences of serious traffic crashes.
TRIP's annual report outlines the state's top transportation needs, about $3 billion in projects to help lower that impact on drivers.
Unfortunately, each year we fall further and further behind if we do not make the necessary improvements.
All ideas that drivers say are needed to help with traffic congestion.
So it's just a problem that really needs to be fixed, and I hope Albuquerque does.
Now, to help pay for the road improvements, the New Mexico Trucking Association is supporting 2 legislative bills that would increase the fuel tax.
According to the Alabama State Treasurer's Office, the money you're spending on gas taxes is distributed to cities and counties, which in turn is used for road building and maintenance. Governor Kay Ivey argues more is needed for that. She cites a February 2019 study by TRIP, a National Transportation Research Group, that says this: Alabamians are losing $5.3 billion each year as a result of driving on deficient roadways.
Increase to the state gas tax is expected to be a hot topic in next week's legislative session, but it's already on the minds of Montgomery City leaders.
The Chamber of Commerce standing behind the push to increase funding for roads and infrastructure. The group says bumpy roads and bridges could be costing drivers more than you think. Reporter Jalea Brooks has more in tonight's big story.
More than $1,300. That's how much an independent transportation research group called TRIP says traffic, potholes, and other road hazards are costing Montgomery drivers each year.
Here in the Montgomery area, almost a third of major roads are in either poor or mediocre condition, and they're increasingly congested.
Governor Kay Ivey is expected to announce a plan to do so later this week with a proposed gas tax increase.
So the governor's coming with a big initiative. We're standing with her as cities.
Alabama's gasoline tax hasn't changed since 1992.
The cost of doing nothing is steadily on the rise.
That's far too long, according to some officials.
If you just think about it, that 18 cents that got adjusted 27 years ago now is only worth about 10 cents.
Getting around Metro Detroit is getting more expensive.
A new study just released today showing just how much our crumbling roads are costing each of us. 7 Action News reporter Kim Russell shows you the shocking numbers.
This is a copy of a study just released today that says our roads are falling apart, crumbling. I know it's no shocker. We've literally seen it. But what might surprise you is just how much this study says it costs you.
When the system's not maintained adequately, when it's not as efficient or as safe as it should be, that they pay far greater costs.
Rocky Moretti is with TRIP, the National Transportation Research Group that did the study. He gathered with the Oakland County Road Commission's leaders and the Detroit Regional Chamber to share the results.
This is a very expensive problem now.
Brad Williams of the Detroit Regional Chamber says he's been lobbying state lawmakers to invest now, before roads get worse. He says too often they're patching potholes when they should be reconstructing roadways because the money simply is not there.
If you don't make that investment, the cost of not making the improvements are far greater.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer responded to this study saying that the amount you're paying because of our crumbling roads amounts to a hidden tax. She has proposed a real tax, 45 cents a gallon, that she's hoping lawmakers will approve to fund fixes to the roads.
Well, just how bad are the roads in Michigan? New numbers reveal the scope of the problem and the desperate need to raise more money to finally fix the roads. Our consumer investigator Hank Winchester joins us now. Hank, what did we learn today?
Karen, what's really interesting about these numbers that have been crunched is how the bad roads affect all of us, Michiganders, how much money we're spending on new tires and rims because of problem potholes. The information coming from TRIP, a National Transportation Research Group that took a close look at the issues here in the Motor City. While previous funding has helped, the bottom line is much more money is needed to make an impact. Michigan roads and bridges are crumbling. A permanent solution is desperately needed. Back out here live, it didn't take long for Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer to weigh in after this report was released. I want to read part of a statement from her release today. She says, if we don't raise the $2.5 billion, we need to actually fix our roads the right way with the right materials. The cost will continue to go up year after year. Patching potholes and ignoring the problem isn't working.
The BW Parkway isn't the only highway that seems to be constantly congested, and that's having a real effect on quality of life.
That reality is outlined in a new report by a transportation research nonprofit, and as Denise Koch reports, it calls it a congestion emergency.
One look on the Maryland Department of Transportation cameras on a rainy day, and you see evidence of what we all know. Our highways are congested. So congested, the nonprofit TRIP, a national transportation research group, calls it an emergency.
Maryland currently has the busiest urban highways and roads in the nation. At 33 minutes as the average commute in Maryland, it's the second highest time in terms of longest commute nationally, behind only California.
Those agonizingly long commutes cost Marylanders billions of dollars a year in lost time. TRIP estimates each one of us loses more than $1,000 on average a year sitting in traffic and managing long commutes.
Congestion is a problem, has been a problem, and will be a problem if we do not act decisively with the governor's traffic relief plan.
Governor Hogan is recommending a $17.8 billion congestion relief plan.
We have, I believe, a congestion emergency within the state that we have to treat as an emergency.